Welcome to The Good from Dickinson College. I'm Craig Lane. Recently, more than 400 people from nearly 50 institutions came to campus for an interactive summit exploring how colleges and universities can promote sustainable behaviors.
College students are not only the future, they are the now. They're already leading the charge.
Plus, Professor Jeff Forrester helps us figure out the cost of a comic book. Then his new puzzler takes us into the world of ideas. And President Margee Ensign explains how 3 recent happenings underscored Dickinson's global leadership. But first...
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Right. Get your body right.
Get your body right.
And take a global bite.
And take a global bite.
ATS Auditorium is buzzing for an event called BE.Hive On Campus. B, in this case, is the letters BE, standing for Behavioral Science and the Environment. The 2-day summit brings together college and university students, faculty, scientists, conservation advocates, and business leaders in a series of interactive events.
Our 4th team goes by the name Nudgetables, and they come from the University of Pennsylvania. Welcome, Nudgetables.
On stage right now, finalists in a competition between a dozen colleges and universities, each group with proposals for encouraging people to select more plant-rich meals in the Dickinson dining hall, a move that would reduce the college's carbon footprint on its road to being carbon neutral in 2020.
Hey everyone, we are the Nudgetables from Penn and BDS. We learned that sustainability is really a key component of the Dickinson student DNA. Yet the nexus between environmental consciousness and dietary choices is not that straightforward.
This behavior-centered design challenge grew out of a collaboration between Dickinson and the global conservation organization RARE. RARE's CEO, Brett Jenks, received the Rose Walters Prize at Dickinson for global environmental activism in 2017.
Because really, one of the themes for today is making it personal, making climate change personal.
During the residency associated with that prize, Jenks and RARE, along with the Dickinson students, faculty, and staff, developed strategies to change behavior, reduce food waste, and trim the carbon footprint in the CAF. The residency laid the groundwork for the BE.Hive On Campus Summit.
I would say, just from my experience, that Dickinson College is pretty unique in the culture of sustainability that's been built here.
Kevin Green is Senior Director of RARE's Center for Behavior and the Environment. He says the BE.Hive Summit is a chance to push back on the notion that small, individual changes won't have a big impact on climate change.
The data tell us that things like reducing food waste, eating relatively more plants, changing our energy sources, using renewable energy, these all actually have a tremendous opportunity to impact our contribution to climate change, reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. They add up in these really profound ways.
Equally profound are the advances in behavioral science, the understanding of how and why people make the choices they do. Green says this improved knowledge helps organizations like RARE and campuses like Dickinson nudge people toward making more climate-conscious choices.
These tools from behavioral science allow us to use things like emotional appeals and social influence and the architecture of our decision-making as expertly as we deploy policy and economics and data.
Outside a summit session, attendees take a break after hearing some of those strategies for encouraging behavior change.
Yeah, I think it gives you hope. It changes the narrative a little too.
Lisa Nicolaisen is the Engagement and Communications Coordinator at Princeton University's Office of Sustainability. She says her background in psychology and the recommendation of a colleague led her to this summit.
But it really starts with us, and that's why I think this is such an invaluable conference for especially our youth.
Also at the summit, vendors are offering samples of a selection of environmentally conscious foods, including crickets. Cornell sophomore Nathan Lawrence is pumped about this.
This is going to sound a little odd, but my passion is saving the world through having people eat insects.
Let him finish.
They're much more efficient converters of resources like food, space, and energy into a protein that we can eat, and they produce far fewer greenhouse gases. So you got to replace our meat with more efficient meat.
If you don't want to crunch crickets, how about meat that isn't meat at all? At the summit's lunch break, attendees chow down on a plant-rich meal, including the famous Impossible Burger, a plant-based meat alternative that makes headlines wherever it's served. It's already on the menu at Burger King, Red Robin, and other national restaurants. Melissa Lent, a student at Hunter College at the City University of New York, takes a bite.
If you gave me this burger and you didn't tell me that it was an Impossible Burger, I probably wouldn't have noticed, especially if I put ketchup on it.
The culinary experience aside, Lent came to the BE.Hive Summit to learn more about nonprofit RARE's efforts.
I'm also really interested in learning about the intersection and kind of climate change and also business, and also how we can influence social behaviors by the way that we market sustainability.
Seated at the lunch table next to Lent, Fiona Dew explains she's president of a sustainability and environmentalism club at Hunter College, and the summit is giving her a lot of ideas.
There's a lot of things that I never thought about, like how to advertise basically environmentalism to other people to make it more palatable and that side of things.
Those methods will carry the BE.Hive's message beyond this weekend's events. Lindsay Lyons is assistant director of Dickinson's Center for Sustainability Education, which played a critical role in organizing the summit.
We're responsible for educating the future leaders of the world. If we can come to common terms on what that looks like and some best practice strategies that work across institutions, there's no need to compete in this realm. This is somewhere where we need to work together, and that's really exciting.
As the summit winds down, Dickinson students are wound up. Senior environmental studies major Allison Miller says the summit gives her energy and determination.
Well, I think it's amazing that we're using colleges in this context as a catalyst for the climate crisis. I think it's an area where so much activism happens and so much impact can be made, but is sometimes overlooked. And I think that this conference is really inspiring me to just continue doing the work I'm doing and also get involved with more work and stay involved.
Fellow senior environmental studies major Anna Zaremba says BE.Hive has further cemented Dickinson's place as a sustainability leader.
I think it's been an awesome opportunity to meet people from different campuses, from different schools, from all over the place who have so many different ideas. It's been really interesting to see people's perspectives on Dickinson's campus, and I think we've got a lot to do with their ideas and with our own ideas.
You can read more about the BE.Hive Summit, watch videos, and check out event photos. It's all linked on our website, dickinson.edu/thegood. It's time for our trivia segment on The Good, and I'm in the studio again with Professor Jeff Forrester from the Math Department. Professor Forrester, always great to be with you.
Great to see you.
Let's recap last episode's trivia question for our listeners.
All right, so last episode's question was titled, Not for the Math Challenged, but perhaps that's a misnomer. And the clue was, Abby was 7 francs short to buy a comic book, and Adele lacked 1 franc. They combined their money to buy 1 comic to share, but they still did not have enough money. How much did the comic book cost?
So that's a fairly straightforward question. What's the answer?
Well, this is as much about listening as it is about mathematics. The answer is the comic cost 7 francs, which means Abby had no money and Adele had 6 francs. This translates into Abby being 7 francs short and Adele lacking 1 franc, and, of course, even if they combine their money, they still only have 6 francs, which isn't enough. A fun question all around and, perhaps, not for the math challenged.
Well, there you go, hence the title. Well, we had some correct answers emailed in to us, and we had a random drawing for the winner among those correct answers. And our winner is Doug Long of the class of 1987. So congratulations, Doug. Dickinson swag will be on its way to you.
Congratulations, Doug.
All right, so we have a new question for you, and take it away, Professor Forrester.
This episode's question is entitled Shaping the Future. And our clue is ideas. Ideas are the grist of innovation. They say necessity is the mother of invention. Well, the watchword of the 21st century is bound to be innovation. Where do they come from, these ideas? Dickinson thinks it has the answer. Who can contribute and how? Can they come from students, alumni, professors, administrators? Yes, 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 and yes. How can we learn about them? What's the vehicle? Well, that's our question for today. Its name might sound like something you could read about in Common Sense, but this isn't the 18th century, and I doubt you can get Poor Richard to help you with your submission.
All right, lots of clues in there. If you know the answer, you can email us. It's thegood@dickinson.edu. That's our email address. Send us your answers. We'll have a drawing among the correct ones, and you'll win some Dickinson swag. Professor Forrester, always great to play the puzzler with you.
And it's great to be here.
Dickinson was the epicenter of the higher education universe this October. More than 500 people from 70 different colleges and universities came to campus for 2 conferences. Earlier this episode, we heard about the BE.Hive On Campus event. We're now going to check in with President Margee Ensign about the global engagement in the Liberal Arts Conference and some other global education activities going on. President Ensign, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
We're in the heart of a full semester, and I just mentioned that global engagement in the Liberal Arts Conference, but also you are about to deliver a keynote address later this month at the Association of American Colleges and Universities Global Citizenship Conference, and you just had a special visitor on campus with some ties to global education. So tell us how all these elements come together.
It's an exciting time at Dickinson for so many reasons. This last weekend, we had both the BE.Hive conference and the global conference that focused on creating inclusive global communities. And as you said, I'm really honored to be the keynote out at the AACU meetings. And there I'm focused on why lack of international education is a national security threat. In addition, yesterday, we had the Chinese Minister Counselor for Education here for a full day on campus. She oversees the 300,000 plus Chinese students who are in the country. We're getting a lot of attention on global education. The conference this weekend added a new dimension, and this keeps Dickinson at the forefront of global education, and that is including intercultural competence in global education. It's not enough just to send students abroad. We do that so well. It's not enough just to bring international students to our campus. I want to talk about that more in a minute. We must always be sure that we are prepared to deal very positively with people and worldviews that are different from our own. It's the core of a liberal arts education. So we're being acknowledged also for this great new work we're doing in intercultural competency. What I would like the listeners to understand, however, is that in the U.S. right now, while there are some increases in study abroad for short-term programs, we're still pretty abysmal in terms of the percentage of students across the country in colleges and universities that we send abroad. It's about 10%. You should be very proud to know that Dickinson's graduating class last year was at 67%. So we're really doing a lot of things right here. And we need to continue to lead in this area and remind people of the importance of global education. And that's what I'll be talking about at AACU. And that's what I talked about yesterday with the Chinese minister. If you look at the data for the last 2 years for international students coming to the U.S., we're seeing an alarming decline. Yes, from China, in great part because of what's happening between our two countries and the tensions there, but other students too. I'll just give you one example that broke my heart. I was at the American International School in London a few weeks ago, and I'm talking to prospective students, and one of the questions I got, and this is common, others are hearing it, is can we get visas? And is the United States still a welcoming place to come? We must counter that because it's so important that we both send students, American students, out to the rest of the world well prepared, and that we also bring international students here because, of course, they enrich our classroom and our campus and our communities. So just know that Dickinson continues to lead in global education, in intercultural competence, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to prepare the next generation of students for global leadership.
President Ensign, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That wraps up this episode of The Good from Dickinson College. This podcast is a production of Dickinson's Marketing and Communications Department, which is solely responsible for its content. Our music was composed by Jong-Ho Choi, class of 2018, and thanks, as always, to the Dickinson Media Center crew and to my co-producer, Christine Baxey. I'm Craig Lane. Thanks for listening.